Imagine this for a second. You're a highly skilled, world-renowned plastic surgeon. You literally spend your days performing these life-changing operations, giving people brand new faces. But over time, you start to notice this deeply confusing pattern. For some of your patients, getting a physically perfect new face changes absolutely nothing about how they actually feel or behave. Well, that right there is the exact medical mystery that kicked off Dr. Maxwell Maltz's incredible career shift. He went from physical surgery to studying the psychology of success, which he famously documented in his book, The New Psychocybernetics. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to dive deep into his fascinating findings. It's a puzzle that literally kept Dr. Maltz awake at night. If his surgical scalpel was basically magic, why on earth did some people go right on wearing their old personalities? See, as a plastic surgeon, he noticed that removing physical scars or correcting severe deformities transformed some patients entirely. Literally overnight, they became confident, outgoing, and wildly successful. But then there were the others, the patients who achieved a flawless physical outcome from the exact same surgery, yet remained completely trapped by their old insecurities. They continued to act, walk, and talk exactly as if they still had that physical flaw. Crazy, right? Section 1. The Plastic Surgeon's Mystery. So Dr. Maltz had this realization that altering a physical face definitely didn't always change an inner reality. He actually wrote about this one patient he called the Duchess. Now, she was a woman who had suffered her whole life because of a severe hump in her nose. The surgery was a total success, gave her this classic, beautiful face. Yet she continued to act the part of the ugly duckling. She was literally unable to even look another human being in the eye. The physical defect was completely gone, but the mental defect untouched. And this exact mystery launched a completely new career for Maltz. He stopped relying solely on his scalpel because he realized, hey, if a physical change doesn't guarantee a personality change, I need to investigate the unseen psychological scars that are actually dictating our behavior. Section 2. Your Invisible Blueprint. What Dr. Maltz discovered was that the real culprit behind his patient's behavior wasn't physical at all. It was something called the self-image. Think of this as the mental blueprint, or the internal picture we hold of ourselves, and it's built completely unconsciously from all our past experiences, our successes, our failures, our humiliations. And here's the kicker. Once an idea becomes part of this self-image, we accept it as absolute truth, no questions asked. So the absolutely crucial point to understand here is this. You literally cannot act otherwise than the person you conceive yourself to be. I mean, no matter how much conscious effort or sheer willpower you try to apply, your behavior is always going to fall right back in line with that internal picture. And this leads us straight into what Dr. Maltz calls the snapback effect. I want you to picture a rubber band stretched super tight between your fingers. If you try to change your habits on the outside without fundamentally changing your self-image on the inside, you are basically just stretching that rubber band. Sure, you might be able to hold it for a day, maybe even a week just using pure willpower, but eventually you're going to get tired, the tension wins, and you snap right back to your old habits. It's like a person who truly sees themselves as a failure will unconsciously sabotage a massive opportunity simply because succeeding would actually violate their deeply held self-image. So, why exactly does this happen on a mechanical level? Well, Dr. Maltz looked to the science of cybernetics to explain it. Turns out your brain and your nervous system act as a goal-striving servo mechanism. It functions exactly like a guided missile or a torpedo. It operates as an automatic success mechanism when you feed it clear, positive targets. But if your self-image is poor, you're inadvertently feeding it negative targets. And guess what? It operates flawlessly as an automatic failure mechanism. It doesn't judge, it just blindly follows the exact coordinates you give it. Section 3. The Theater of the Mind. Okay, so the million-dollar question is, how on earth do we give our internal guided missile better coordinates? How do we reprogram that target? Well, this right here might just be the single most important breakthrough in our entire explainer. Dr. Maltz states this: your nervous system cannot tell the difference between an actual experience and one that is vividly imagined. I really want to let that profound scientific fact sink in for a second. This means you absolutely do not have to wait for real-world success to start building your confidence. You can actually use your imagination to synthesize experiences. You can practice new traits purely in your mind, and your brain will physically catalog them as real lived experiences. How wild is that? And this completely explains why top performers use mental rehearsal across literally every field you can think of. Take the legendary golfer Jack Nicklaus. He famously said he never hit a golf shot without first having a crystal clear picture of it in his head, seeing the trajectory, the landing, the swing, the whole shebang. Or think about sales professionals who intensely rehearse their presentations in their minds to completely eliminate anxiety. People even use mental imagery to alter their body's physiological responses and actually accelerate healing from physical injuries. By successfully experiencing an event in your mind before it even happens, you're giving yourself image undeniable proof that you are capable. Section 4. Your 21-day mental routine. All right, so if we know visualization is the ultimate key, how do we actually do it day to day? Let's break down the actionable daily visualization exercises you're going to need to systematically change your self-image. Step 1, you've got to write the mental movie script. What exactly do you want to achieve? You need to be as incredibly specific as possible. Step 2, set aside some quiet time to completely relax, close your eyes, and enter what Maltz calls the theater of your mind. And finally, step 3, play the movie and massage that movie until the star, which is you by the way, performs absolutely perfectly. If you stumble or feel anxious during your mental rehearsal, no big deal. Just edit the scene, rewind it, and do it again until your imagined performance feels completely flawless and completely natural. Now, Dr. Maltz issues a very specific challenge here. He challenges you to dedicate exactly 30 minutes a day to this practice. You need to find a quiet place, sit completely undisturbed, relax your muscles, and vividly imagine yourself acting and reacting successfully. And remember, detail is absolutely everything here. You have to pay close attention to the sights, the sounds, the environment, and especially your feelings in that moment. The more vivid and detailed your 30-minute mental movie is, the more effectively it's going to program your automatic success mechanism. But here's the catch. This is definitely not a one-time exercise. This mental commitment has to be sustained for a minimum of 21 consecutive days. Think about it. You've spent years, maybe decades, building your current limited self-image. It's going to take at least 21 days of repetitive, intense mental practice to truly overwrite those old limits with your brand new synthetic empirical truths. Consistency is the absolute non-negotiable key to creating your new reality here. Section 5. Awakening your success. It is officially time to stop living within the limits of an outdated blueprint. Through daily visualization and mental rehearsal, you have engineered a brand new target. Now, I want to break the fourth wall for a second and just ask you directly, what would actually happen if you spent your time today acting as if you had already succeeded? Just acting as if the new, confident self-image is already your unquestionable reality. Do not wait for external proof before you change your behavior. Act out the new role today, and the proof is naturally going to follow, because your internal guidance system is finally locked onto the right target. So let's leave off with this final, truly provocative question. If your nervous system genuinely cannot tell the difference between reality and imagination, what reality will you choose to imagine tomorrow? The power to rewrite your internal blueprint, to heal those invisible scars, and to direct your own success, it's entirely in your hands, just waiting for you in the theater of your mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly, highly encourage you to begin your 21-day mental routine starting today.